All right, here we go. Good morning.
Hey, welcome.
This is SlapperCast episode number 32. It is...
Bright and early in the bloody morning.
Yeah.
Bright and early.
So, cut straight to the chase. Usually on Friday nights, Blaggards obviously is playing a show. However, this past Friday, we weren't because of something very special that Patrick had planned. We'll call it research. It's actually tax deductible.
LLC humor first thing in the morning.
Yes. Long story short, we both went to go see Mark Knopfler play at Smart Financial Center in Katy, right? Is it in Katy? No. Where's it?
No, Richmond.
Richmond.
We're just Stafford. It's just north of Richmond.
Yeah, Stafford. Right. That's right.
God, you drink some coffee. Let me do the talking. For the love of God.
How did your brother was responsible for?
No, not risk. My brother's responsible for nothing. I have two brothers, and one of them's got some duties. The other one, no, they're both living under a bridge. And no, what happened was, so Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits fame has been, there's no word to describe what this guy has meant to me over the years. As far as just flat out great guitar players, working with people such as Chet Atkins and, he's played with everybody. He's played with, I'm not a Clapton fan at all. However, you can't, you have to, when you mention guitar, you have to mention Clapton. But this guy, Mark Knopfler, was responsible for the 80s, was definitely, alongside your regular 80s stuff. This guy was, to me, he was a break from all the 80s stuff, because just the guitar tones, I've always paired his voice with his guitar. He just perfectly matched. And one of those guys that every single note matters, and just, I've spoken about him before.
Do you remember? Do you remember when you first became aware of him, or when you first, as a young kid, you were like, "Hey"?
Well, unfortunately, it was that time where kind of unfortunate, but fortunately also. I mean, that's a bittersweet. There was just so much fluff on the radio because it was just 80s is it's candy, cotton candy fluff, music, appearance, blah blah blah. But when you heard Sultans of Swing, when you heard Romeo and Juliet, when you heard Walk of Life, and later Money for Nothing, and there's one person it could be, and there's the half the world that hated him, half the world that loved him. But the thing was, to me, was just the humor, the absolute, the tongue in cheek. Never took themselves seriously, even as big as they got, they just became, there's always just, even the headband and the cowboy shirt and whatever, never really seemed to take himself seriously, but you could not deny the guy's ability and what he did to guitar. Not a million notes a minute, but every single note mattered. Every single note was in a spot where it just. So he's one of these people, like, you can, pick up a guitar and want to get better, or just burn your guitars just because you don't want to. You just know, and it was really depressing watching him play, because it's not rocket science. The guy he just went in a kind of like a Stuart Copeland on drums for the Police. Mark Knopfler just took the guitar in a completely different area, that's nothing that I'd ever seen before. Yeah. And then when I heard him play with Chet Atkins on the neck, whatever that record was that they just did, hearing those two guitars side by side, and again being a big 50s and 60s rockabilly, listening to those Chet Atkins play and his style, and Mark Knopfler sitting them side by side, and then figuring out, whoa, this guy can hang with anybody. And then Notting Hillbillies, this other side project that he did, and where there's just a lot of dobro stuff, a lot of slide, and so this guy, the avenues were just endless. These little tributaries all from this big rock and roll river, these tiny little, areas that he would just take off and go in and just play. And then the country, he played with Vince Gill. He actually, I heard that he had asked Vince Gill to sing for Dire Straits.
Really?
Yeah, to be the singer.
Well, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Would have been totally different.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah. I don't ever want to. Watch that.
Because his voice, his whole delivery is so essential to the whole feel. And
yes,
of course, I think in the early days, I was listening to one of his earlier songs recently and remembering how much he reminded me of Bob Dylan back in those days. And now he just sounds like Mark to me. But listening to the really early Dire Straits stuff, it's like very sort of rambling, the rambling Bob Dylan type of delivery. Yeah. Storytelling. So he still does that, but seems like he's much more on his own now. Of course, it's fair enough. It's been 50 years. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So needless to say, I was looking forward to this for a long time. My brother in California, he's a pitch hub mastermind. We were speaking on the phone and talking about Mark Knopfler coming to town. And he said, I've never seen him. I said, well, neither have I. So let's go. I'll get the tickets. You come on. So we had this planned, and so I got the tickets and great seats, and just really looking forward to seeing, Mark and I. People put Mark and I together all the time. But we always we're always working on the nights that these shows come to town. So I'd never seen him. And anyway, so we blocked this date off on the calendar, and here we go to say, well, my mother in Ireland decides that she's going to go visit my brother out in California at the same time. So I said, don't even think another second about it. Just, go hang out with her, and then we'll do this again. So I called up Chad. Chad's a big Mark Knopfler fan also, and you kind of have to be too, because when we're on road trips and you got all that time to kill, you're going to hear a lot of the especially the more recent those solo records where the songs just go from just straight up blues through the rock numbers and the still kind of the pop stuff, but the band that he's assembled over these years, it just hair stand up on the back of your neck. Yeah, listening to the years, the hundreds of thousands of hours, the hundreds of thousands of years of music that you're having delivered to you, that you're having handed to you in that setting. It's astounding. It's heart stopping. The talent, Yeah. It was just mind blowing. So needless to say, so that was Friday. That was our Friday night going to see Mark Knopfler in Stafford, and just leaving there. Kind of, I don't know about you, but I felt kind of dizzy. We didn't hear Sultans of Swing and we didn't hear Brothers in Arms, but I couldn't have changed the set list. I couldn't have changed what we heard. I couldn't have. It still hasn't sunk in. Yeah. Yet, but the music and the flow of the concert was absolutely perfect. Just
as I was saying when we drove away, it's like I can't. One part of me wanted to go and listen to those albums again to keep that high going, but it's like I can't listen to anything right now. I need to just steep myself in what just happened, and don't.
That made perfect sense. Yeah. And it still makes perfect sense. It is difficult. Same thing. I'd not listened to music. You know, we played a show on Saturday night in Molly's in Kingwood, and we spoke about that. And of course, the week previous, you know, that it's a dry county, so it's a private club. Essentially, you walk in, you show your driver's license, now you're a member. But we absolutely love Kingwood Molly's, and I'll tell you why. It's when people say, you know, it's an Irish pub, what they mean is, you know, drink here on Paddy's Day, and you know, maybe there'll be green beer or something. That's what an Irish pub typically means. And Molly's is owned by an Irishman, Eamon Finnerty, and one of his many, many pubs. But it is truly a pub in the sense that it's, you know, it's comfortable. You can go in there to play pool or to watch TV, you know, watch the game or watch whatever. But it's full of regulars, and it's full of the staff there are so well equipped to handle their regulars and to treat the regulars as regulars. It's just you're going into a living room. You're essentially going into a place that you're just so comfortable, and everybody's comfortable, and it's just that's a great part. The terrible part about playing a show after you go see Mark Knopfler is our guitar player is not Mark Knopfler, and it's, you know, we're running our own sound, and we're raw, you know, little raw, a little loud, it's extremely difficult. Is it for me anyway? Personally, it's so hard to I had probably one of the worst performances I've had in a long time. Just so, I mean, it was a crazy night anyway for many other reasons, but really fun. Really fun night. Yeah. But then again, you know, we're poisoned after being in that setting on Friday night.
That was just comical because you walk away from experiences like that thinking, you know, I've got to figure out some way to rise to this challenge of, you know, doing things, you know, trying to at least approximate that degree of talent and skill and so forth. You really want to do your best, and then we wind up. Not that Saturday was still a great show, but it was not one of. It started. We got there kind of late, so we didn't go through our whole sound check routine, and we didn't even really realize it until we started playing. We're like, oh crap, because you had to restring your guitar, and I was running around trying to get the live stream set up.
Well, I didn't have to restring my guitar. I just, you know, it's one of those things. With the Beltway, you know, we got stuck on the Beltway for longer than we wanted to. So yeah, we didn't go through our regular, and it really is. It's a process. It's an absolute, and I mean absolute. People, scrap that. It's essential for you to be, you know, because you want to deliver the same quality show every time. That's what my friend Mark tells me all the time. You want to deliver at the same, you want to come in at the same, you know, the same level, but you still want to elevate it, and you want to, you know, you want to push yourself, and you want to put, so there was this continuous, events would comically just keep happening at one after another. A gentleman that we met there played in the band, and he just every 5 minutes would just want to come over and talk to me as I'm setting up, and not noticing that there's, you know, other people to, you know, talk to, you know, and that are maybe not as busy, or and just one thing after another, and, you know, you but you can also tell the level of professionalism too. You know, if you play in a rock and roll band and you wanna talk to that other guy that's setting up, that's, you know, obviously not ready, you know, then, you know, you maybe don't play so much.
Yeah.
But I'm still giggling about the there's that recurring dream that I don't know if it's recurring or not, but it's been recurring for me. The one where you're back in school and you can't find your, and again, I didn't worry about that shit in school. I don't worry about that shit now. Oh, my homework's not done. I go, when was my homework ever done? But in your dream, because so it's that wheel, it's that hamster wheel of, no matter how much faster you go or how much effort you put into it, you're still not going anywhere. It's still, but so one of those nights, and it really cracks me up, even this moment, thinking about it, because it was so it was avoidable, but you're in the moment, you almost say, just give me a second, just
right.
And we're luckily we've been doing this long enough to where we can, push a little harder in areas and make it go faster. And, so fantastic night, great people. I love that room for that reason. Mm-hmm. And, unfortunately for us, we missed the one of our favorite shows. We missed the Sherwood Celtic Music Festival, and Sherwood is a extremely important place for us.
Yeah,
we adore the people that work there. The year round work that they do, the effort that's put into that organization is breathtaking, stunning. They never stop. Mm-hmm. They live it. When you talk, they do a Renaissance festival. They do the Celtic Music Festival. It's out in McDade County, which is kind of on your way to Austin if you're lost. If you're, it's just, but it's in beautiful grounds, and it's always sweltering. I always say they either freeze or they fry. It's either ice cold or smoking hot. But it's again, we're devastated we missed it.
Yeah,
but
first time we've ever missed it. And I think we probably talked about Sherwood before on the show. I kind of think of it as like Sherwood's kind of like the hub of our Texas fan base. Like most of our dearest friends and biggest fans who live in the state are there. So it's and we see them everywhere. It's kind of like the Aggies, all the fans and friends that we made in College Station over the years. We see them everywhere. We see Sherwoodians everywhere too. Anyway, it's definitely a drag not being there.
Yep.
And I heard from a couple of people before and after the weekend saying, "Oh, we missed you guys," and so forth.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and of course I'm being a smart ass too. I went on their page and I said, "Oh, I wish we were invited." And then I get Zane, the guy that puts the whole thing together. He goes, "Could you maybe not say that, because people are giving him a hard time. Say, why didn't you?" So I went back on there. I was like, "Oh no, that's not what I meant."
Yeah,
but yeah, great people, and sorely missed. But their 10-year anniversary is going to be this coming year, so we are going to be there with new record in hand, and it's we are going to make up for the fact that we did not attend this year. So
yeah,
but anyway, so back to Friday night. Our old friend Mark Knopfler. I want to read you an email that nobody's heard this yet. Well, actually that's not true. I did read it from my brother. Anyway, it'll make sense.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either. It's just
yes. Yeah. So I received this email on after Saturday night's show. We're driving home, and so anyway, it says, Mr. Devlin, good evening. I'm Nobby Longshaft. I'm Mr. Knopfler's road manager. Mr. Knopfler asked that I convey a few things to you on his behalf. First and foremost, he wanted to thank you for attending last evening's performance. He also wanted to compliment you on your hair. He said it looks fantastic. More importantly, Mr. Knopfler requested that should you attend future live performances of his subsequent tours that you purchase tickets further in the back of the venue. If that is not possible, he requested you wear large sunglasses which cover 75% of your face. Mr. Knopfler is extremely uncomfortable performing in front of grown men who cry. He said it's embarrassing and an insurmountable distraction. Consider this your final warning. Tally-ho, Nobby. So...
John.
Yes. So anyway, I thought that was just, I knew we were talking about this show today. I just thought that would just be the. So, usually I respond with a couple of, profanities and, stuff about, bestiality or something, but I had to wait. I just had to keep my mouth shut and read this today for you because I thought it was just so well crafted.
Awesome.
And our dear friend John Nania just never ceases to. Imagine that. Imagine having a puppy, giving the puppy cocaine, and then the puppy reaches puberty by accident. And then you just humps your leg. That's John Nania. He's just that, that's and so this is what I deal with on a daily basis because this guy and his beautiful, sane, down to earth, well-rounded, incredible wife, Sienna. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing a lot of work with them, but we're going to have to up our game because to kind of keep up with John is a full-time job.
Well, and just for some context too on this particular subject, he found out that we were going to this concert recently, and it was surprisingly I'm surprised he didn't know this yet, but he didn't know that we were Knopfler fans. He didn't know that we were into that stuff. And it turns out he's actually John's a bass player, and probably the best bass player I've ever met. And he recently he's been playing with a friend of his doing some Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits stuff.
With it, they're a duo. They do thousands. They between them they probably know 100,000 songs. But his guitar player is a huge Knopfler fan.
Yeah. So I thought it was fun. So I told John, I was like, "Gosh, I mean, this is not even stretching the truth a little bit. I think of all the artists, all the musicians, all the bands and artists that we listen to in the van while being on tour, I don't think there's any one other artist we've listened to more than Mark Knopfler. All of his, mostly his solo stuff, and that started going back, at least from I remember, it was one of the I think it was the first tour he went on when we went up and we're staying with Sinead and Tim, your sister Sinead, up in Broomall, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. And I think Tim mentioned that they had a copy of Mark's latest record, which I think was Shangri-La.
Yes, exactly.
And so he burned you a CD of it, and we listened to it on the next leg of the tour after we left there. And just that's all I remember listening.
Yeah.
For I mean, it still is a favorite. And that's the album that has a Boom Like That, right? Isn't it? Or does that Get Lucky?
No. You're right.
Boom Like That, and then the one about Sonny Liston.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 5:15 a.m. too. I think is the first one.
Yeah.
Which is a great late night driving song because frequently we would be listening to it at 5:15 a.m. Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So and also the crying thing, which is it's just absolute horseshit. I don't know anybody that would cry at a concert, unless, they had to tune my guitar or something. But, what had happened was, my brother was on Twitter when his Pitch Hub, Twitter, I didn't even know it's on Twitter. So he had I guess, tagged me and Blaggards in a thing saying, hey, Mark Knopfler, if you see a big guy crying in the thing, that's my brother. He's a huge fan. Okay. Something. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I'm not on Twitter as much as I should be, John. God.
So anyway,
yeah.
Mark had. Well, this was at Smart Financial Center, which I'd never been to before. You've been there once before. This venue. And it's actually, I mean, it's as far as live music venues go, it's the acoustics in there are pretty excellent. And my only real complaint with the room itself was just how tight the rows were. Because it was like sort of like an old the way movie theaters used to be before they put in the stadium seating that all the theaters have now, where everybody has to stand up to let you in.
Chad, you're losing weight, so they'll become comfortable soon. No,
well, I mean, yeah, I went in there and I was thinking maybe I'll probably get a beer, and I was looking at the it's like $10 for a beer, and I was like, well, let's go. Should we get to our seats first, and then I'll think about it. And we get there, and we're sitting. Our seats are way just dead center in the middle of this huge long row. Like 20 seats on either side of us, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody has to stand up to let us in. And then you sit down, you're basically trapped. Unless you want to go through that again to get out. So like, yeah, I'm not getting up. So that was like, that kind of puzzled me. It was like a place like that obviously makes or is intending to make a lot of money off of beer sales and concession sales. You can't be selling a whole lot of beer if people can't stand up to go buy it or go use the restroom. But
it's set up to where it's. I mean, yeah, I thought the same thing too. I wouldn't race there to go and dine at the nacho bar or whatever. But it's nice. It's a pretty building. But it's a little cramped, and the traffic getting in and out is a little it's just there's got to be a better way. But the actual getting in there and really good seats and close to the front to where you can see everything. But then they've got the big screens on both sides to where you can get the close ups and whatnot. But so 11-piece band.
It was including him. Yeah. 10 people behind him.
So luckily there was no opener, and sometimes I like an opener, and especially if it's us. But this was again with so many people on stage and so many. I think he said they could play 49 instruments among them.
Yeah,
among the people on 49 instruments, and he said, and I can play one, and doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I know he's glad I said that. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Mark. But so with the instrumentation that they had, if there was an opener, it would have to be a really, really, really skinny, small person, that could come on. And I don't know, and I don't want to hear anything before or after that, like we spoke about.
Yeah.
But the transition, they have this show down, and I know there's a lot of banter that's been, that's recycled. It's kind of the same show, the a la Tom Petty kind of banter in between the songs.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of. I'd seen some stuff on. I'm not a big concert watcher on YouTube. I don't like to, have to be there. Sometimes you just have to go there to see. But so I'd seen a couple of songs here and there, and it's the same.
Yeah,
before and after. So, but even with that, the setup and the sound and the tone of those guitars, needless to say, I thought I might have to have surgery to have my goosebumps removed.
Yeah,
because it never left.
Yeah,
and I went for a run in the afternoon before the show, and it was a nice mild 105 degrees outside,
right?
Direct sunlight, and incidentally, the beeline. Where'd he go? Over there. He's back. No, he's not. I was running by the bayou, Buffalo Bayou, Houston, Texas, middle of the day, hotter than Satan's ballsack, and what do I see? The first time ever in the bayou, a human swimming.
Ew.
In the fucking bayou.
Gross.
So, next time you're going by a public toilet, and you think you might want to. So the water is constantly brown. On a good day, it's green, but it's not the healthy green. It's that, hey, what is that nuclear? It's nasty. I saw a person. Did he fall? Was he dropped from the sky? Was he what? No, his clothes were on the side of the bank, like laid out. And I'm running, and I look, and yeah. I went home and I brushed my teeth and I scrubbed with a Brillo pad and just watching that. So that was the first time I'd ever seen that. First time I've ever seen anybody swimming in Buffalo Bayou. And yeah, and it wasn't a help. It was
it's like, come on in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, where was I? So I'd gone for a run that afternoon, and we're in the Smart Financial Center watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even that it was that warm in there, but I just sweating profusely the whole time. Because,
really?
Yeah, just because I have never been, I knew how good the show was going to be. I just didn't know how good how much emotion could be stirred up, because it's the soundtrack. Mark Knopfler is the soundtrack to, of course, Iron Maiden and stuff that I grew up. That's where I, first when you feel the energy from this music, and when you connect with a sound, with a band, with these songs, and these songs speak to you, and these ideas come through these, all this emotion that's stirred up through. I had no idea how many memories and how much emotion could be stirred up through these songs. And the song that stuck with me, and I would never have guessed this. The song that just I couldn't sleep that Friday night. I could not.
Yeah,
it was Your Latest Trick. And it's got that. That was the one that you said you didn't recognize.
Oh,
yeah. It's just got that saxophone and da 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 da.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But that song, that melody from that song, haunts me. I don't know why. But there's a and it's happened before with it. Believe it or not, a couple of Rory Gallagher songs can keep me awake with the melody of those songs, just because they're so intoxicating and the hook is so strong. It's such a massive hook in this masterpiece.
Yeah. That's where the sax player came out under the spotlight by himself to start off the song.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that happens a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I know his stuff so well that even when they put in those little jazzy intros, you know exactly where they're going, because your head has this song stored.
Yeah.
My head has these songs. I cannot, and I can't tell you, I can't relay how, even this moment, just thinking about that song, that was just, and of all the songs they play, Speedway at Nazareth, which is, if you don't know that song, and if you're into music that takes you on a journey and does this massive crescendo through the whole song, and just builds to this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, I don't know how any place anything can happen after that song, because when they kill that song and it ends and the lights go off, you can leave now.
Yeah,
you can. The world can end.
Yeah,
it was, But then they came back and did another one, and they took you on another.
Yeah, I think if you know Dire Straits and you've never really listened to Mark's solo stuff, which shame on you, you haven't listened to his records, because the work he's been doing, and this has been going on since the mid to late 90s, right?
Yeah,
solo stuff, and it's just been getting more and more amazing. Speedway to Nazareth is like definitely one, if not the greatest song he's ever recorded, in my opinion. It's if you're a Beatles fan, a lot of people, it's really easy to point to Day in the Life being sort of their masterpiece, like the pinnacle of the stuff that they put out, because it was there did, at that point there'd been nothing like it before, and they never really did anything like that afterwards. But that's what Speedway to Nazareth is sort of like. To me, it's like Mark Knopfler's A Day in the Life, because it starts off so subtle and then just builds, like you're saying, to this amazing height towards the end of it. Which just boggles. We used to talk about it, because we listened one of the many Knopfler songs we used to listen to on the road, and Patrick and I would listen back to that track over and over again, especially the way it builds at the end. It's this instrumental, and there's this every instrumentalist, every musician playing on the track has a solo, several solos towards the end of it, but it doesn't come across as like a jam. It's like they're traveling, they're moving somewhere together, and it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher, and you're just going along with it. Oh my God, where is this going? This is amazing. It's really, really hard to describe. Andrew Dansby he was there at the concert. He wrote a really great review. Andrew Dansby, who writes for the Houston Chronicle, and he put it really good too. That there's like, how did he put it? So how the songs build up to this crescendo might have been the word he used, and that I just said that, and then it goes up in this fire, and then it dissolves into ashes, but then there's still hints of that the fire really isn't out as if a song is fading away. And it's very true that is definitely how Speedway to Nazareth kind of ends on the record. It just fades out because it just keeps going wherever it's headed. It just keeps going there. But of course, obviously live, they have that bam, that really, that's one of the reasons why it made me think of A Day in the Life too. Anyway, I'm trying and failing to articulate what it is about that song. It's so amazing. But he's got a lot of stuff like that. But I think that song is that really is his masterpiece, I think. Anyway,
yeah, I can't pick. I can't choose. If they had ended the show at that point, we would have missed. We would have missed. Money for Nothing. Which again, live is not the same song.
No,
it's so powerful. It's so and again, take away the fact that it sold a gazillion records. So obviously, it was played multi-gazillion times. It's just unfathomable. Listens. Just you can't. But just erase all that, and just how much of a genius it takes to overhear that guy loading the crap in the shop and just encapsulate that, and then just throw that, and then just put that dirty guitar on it, and make it so appealing that there's just people. The other one. I think this episode should be called "Trying and Failing," because I'm with you. I cannot get across how it made me feel, because I'm at 0.00000% of how it moved me. But watching the audience react to these songs, so you're not alone. Other people had that same.
Oh yeah.
Other people had that same, and it also made me realize a lot of us were the same age.
Yeah.
It's very strange to look around and
No, it was cool to see that right next to me, to my right, there was a father and son sitting next to me. Father our age, son probably in his late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And his son was just as into it as he was.
Yeah.
And they were talking like, hey, discussing what was going on. And although they got quiet as the show got on, they stopped talking, and they were just enraptured.
And let me also compliment you on that, on something. And I don't, but I go to a concert. I don't want to talk. I don't want to, if the fucking place catches fire, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
unless it's a Kiss concert. No. So no, seriously, the etiquette it takes. There is a concert etiquette in a seated show like this. Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
Don't say it. Chad said, I think one word. You know, but you just don't talk. You just don't talk. And there, you know, even the lights go off and the instrument change and the next, you know,
Yeah.
we were both punched in the face at the same time by different, you know, the perfection it took. The light show that they did, not crazy, not good, but just you couldn't have added or taken away. Everything was just down to a T.
Yeah.
And then there's a cocksucker on the far left, you know, trying to
His shoulders a swing, whatever, shouting out. I couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm just guessing.
I don't think he was that smart.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to get a laugh. I think, you know, because it's and we've spoken about this before. There are people. What? Yeah. There are people that go to a show to be the show. They're not going to watch it. That we see this every single show. There's somebody there every single time. That heckling's fine, and you know, dancing crazy is fine, and doing, you know, if you can move somebody, whichever way you're moving, that's great. But you always get that wanker that they're not there for the show. They're there to be the show. And to those people, I say, start a band. Start a band. There's you know, go do it.
Yeah.
It's but what it is, in my opinion, is these people, and now that wanker just. There's one thing that there's only one thing that you have to remember when you're that agent, you know, that's going there with maybe it's even rehearsed, you know, and they want to shout something to get a laugh, or they want to, you know, get the attention of the art. 9 out of 10 times he can't hear you. You know, the performer can't hear you, and they can't see you. Right. I promise you this. We play in small venues. We've played in smaller venues than most of you have been in. And we can't see. Because we bring our lights and we shine them on the stage, because, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't see past the first row.
Yeah.
And nor can we hear you. If you stood behind our monitors and listened to what we listen to, you probably wouldn't go to many shows. Right. We do this for a living. We torture our ears for a living.
Yeah.
And so you're not heard and you're not seen. So they're not doing it for, that's, you know, I mean, you have to know this by now. You know, if you're going to see Mark Knopfler, this isn't your first Backstreet Boy concert, or, you know, you got to know how it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's I think it just ruins the people in your vicinity. It ruins their experience of the.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was that one guy. I think there were at least two of them. There was one, and then they're both on opposite ends of the theater. But fortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of that going on. Probably because there were people around them going, shut up.
Yeah.
And it is a really special breed of fan who is into Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler to the extent that you would go see a concert, you know, and spend that amount of money on those tickets to sit up, especially sitting up close and so forth. And there were some really nice box seats behind us. Anyway, but one of my favorite moments in the concert was this long intro that for the song that wound up being "Once Upon a Time in the West." And at first, it wasn't really clear what song they were building up to, as they were, you know, did sort of this atmospheric intro. The lights were down, and Mark was changing guitars almost every song. So he towards the end of the song, the lights would dim. He'd kind of walk off near to the drum set, and somebody would appear when you couldn't even see what they were switching until the lights came back up again. And so in this particular song, they've started playing this atmospheric choral stuff, and the lights are still kind of dim, and he's got his back to the audience, and then the lights come up, he turns around, and he's holding one of his red, you know, iconic Stratocasters, which was, if you don't know, that in the days of Dire Straits, that was not exclusively, but it was most of the time he was playing a red Strat. And I looked it up. There were several. There wasn't just one. He had several different ones he played. But presumably the one we had, it was probably one of the ones he used in Dire Straits, I'm sure. But the people cheered for the guitar. They saw that red Strat and they started cheering. I was like, that's so cool. That's a Dire Straits fan, you know, who else does that, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was amazing.
Well, his heroes back in the day played red Strats, and he thought it was very I think it was the Shadows. I want to say it was the Shadows.
Yeah.
But he just thought that the red guitar was naff, you know, like but he had to have it. And also one of my favorite lines in the concert was, you know, he said, you know, growing up he just wanted a guitar. He said, "Dad, please, guitar. Dad, please, Dad, please." And he goes, and now they're everywhere.
Yeah,
I laugh too because I never thought I would have as many guitars as I have, and I want to get rid of a lot of them because they take up so much room and I can't play them all at the same time. I've tried, but these guitars become, you know, they all do different things. So why do you have so many guitars? Why do you have so many plants or many pairs of shoes or many? They do different. They sound different. They don't sound different to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear Money for Nothing,
oh yeah,
and you hear Once Upon a Time in the West, or you hear, you know, the end of Romeo and Juliet, and so you know what these guitars do, and you know what they mean to these artists, and how they shape the song, and how they I just the one thing I'll take away from this, one of the 100,000 things I'll take away from this concert is I have to improve my tone. I have to, and I'm going to. I mean, I'm working on it before you got here.
Yeah,
8:00 this morning.
It was. I had to let myself in because he couldn't hear me knocking.
but I mean, the truth of it is 99% of the audience don't get that. Don't get that.
Yeah,
but
I think Dire Straits fans do.
Again, I'm sorry. I was talking about our.
Yeah,
most
music fans in general.
Yes, but and again, in our situation, we're bringing our PA, we're bringing the sound.
Yeah.
So we don't have the luxury of bringing what we were listening to at Smart Financial Center. We don't have the luxury of bringing those lights and that show and be able to present it like that.
Yeah.
But we do we absolutely do our best, and you know, Saturday night was rough. I'm shaking thinking about the comedy of errors, the you know, from the time that we you know, we got the gear to load in to start playing, it was Chad to his credit, you know, filmed you know the set and put it on, did it live. You
can see this in the live stream too.
You can see it. Yeah, this
just by way of example, and you can go and watch this on the live stream. You want to see this moment because, as Patrick said, we were getting really distracted before we got there. We didn't really give ourselves the amount of time that we should have had because we were rehearsing. We were in rehearsal right before we went to the show, which we probably should have left a half an hour earlier than we did. But anyway. Usually isn't a problem. We usually don't have this many problems setting up, but we kicked off the first song, and Patrick goes out since we didn't have time to line check and sound check before he walks out in front of the speakers just to see how everything's sounding, and there's nothing coming out of the speakers, and you get my attention. And he's like, "Is it on?" You're pointing because you can't see if the indicator light is on. Because we have had, it has happened several times in the past where I've forgotten to actually plug the speaker in or turn it on or whatever. And it's like, no, it's on. And this is all, you know, mimed and mouth, like there's nothing coming out. It's like, what? So I turn around and look at the board, and the fader for the volumes of the main speakers was all the way down to 0 because we hadn't sound checked. And that's the default state that the mixer boots up on. It's a digital sound mixer. It always starts up with the mains at 0. So I had to stop playing bass and go and try to get it up without trying to miss as few notes as I could as we were playing. But that was hilarious. So so the first song was a bit of a mess because of that, because we were all three of us who were, besides Mike, who can't stand up obviously when he's playing the drums, but we're Wes and Patrick and I kept going back to the board to adjust this and that as we're going forward. But anyway, so
it's a lot like surgery, you know. I mean, you know, we're commonly, you know, referred to as doctors, you know, we just, so imagine, you know, you're just going in there for, you know, triple bypass and the doctor's late and he just comes in and he goes, fuck it. Let's just go. You know, that's how, see, it's exactly just, you know, just use your imagination.
But it was just so ironic to have had the experience we had the night before saying, all right, we're going to go back to work and we're going to, sort of
elevate.
Yeah, we're gonna harness this energy and move forward and make everything better. And it was like everything just went wrong.
Yeah.
So it was just like you say. I mean, you could really all you could do was just chuckle or laugh at it as it was happening because there was okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the many positive things that came out of that day was I was able to work on a couple of songs that I've been working on and. I'm just the inspiration I took from it, that moment when we drive away and you kind of not talking and you know, laughing at how people drive and the being able to take that moment home. This is why everybody should go see live music. I don't care what you listen to. I don't care how you listen to it. Everybody has to go see live music.
Yeah.
And like I said a while ago, and forgive me for repeating myself, or you can just take it out. But the hundreds of thousands of hours of this magnificent artistry, this incredible musicianship. And these people that have taken these hundreds of thousands of just fathomless hours of driving and rehearsing and perfecting and tweaking and just all this music that you're being presented with in this atmosphere, you owe it to yourself to go and see these people perform.
Yeah.
You know, and then leaving there, it's just even now, everybody was letting everybody cut it, you know, just, you know, the traffic is it kind of pissed me off going in there. Cause once you pay to park, you know, then it looks like a free for all. There was actually somebody coming at us they had, I don't know if they didn't realize that it was a concert venue and they were in this, you know, in this one-way maze, you know, and they took up a whole lane coming out, you know, you know, and a guy had this look on his face like, oh, what is this place? But on the way out, everybody letting everybody in, everybody just seemed like they were in a better space, and everybody was, I can't tell you how great it felt to be to witness that, and like I said, the inspiration and the momentum that you carry from that. I was able to work on some songs and you know, put pieces in that didn't fit, and
cool.
And I don't know if I've ever been this inspired. I don't know if I've ever been this.
It's been so long. I mean, we've probably complained about this on the show before, but we don't get to see a whole lot of shows because most of the time when there's an act coming through town that we really want to see, we're busy because it'll be on a Friday or Saturday night or Thursday night or something like that. And, you know, we're either playing or we're rehearsing most of the time on those nights. So it's been years since I've gone to see, you know, smaller time acts. And I don't mean to put them down, but like J.D. McPherson is one of my favorite current artists. And I've been lucky enough to catch him on a Tuesday night here and there when he's come to town. So I think that's actually the last show I went to go see was J.D. McPherson at the Continental Club. But a whole big concert like that, I can't even remember the last time I've seen something like that. It probably was something at Woodlands. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but yeah, it was for that reason. First of all, it was so nice just to sit and actually experience something that huge, you know. But that was for that having been the first time that either you and I had seen him play. I mean, it was, yeah. This is just an hour plus of Patrick and I trying and failing, like you said, trying and failing to articulate. Yeah. I will say that going back to that, when he came out for the encore, and they really there were 2 encores, and they really milked the audience each time. They made us work for it, rightly so, and they made it seem like there was going to be a third encore.
Yeah,
until they waited a bit to bring the lights up after the second encore. Before that, the first encore, I figured, okay, it's either going to be Sultans of Swing or Money for Nothing. And of course it was Money for Nothing, as we already talked about. But I was like, it was kind of like, and I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, okay. Cause it's a great song, but it's not anywhere near close to I think Sultans is a better song. But, and I'm not, and I say that I'm like I'm some kind of Dire Straits nerd. Patrick is way more familiar with the Dire Straits material than I am. I really haven't really listened to any of the Dire Straits albums in their entirety. I like everybody of the MTV generation. I know Sultans of Swing. I know Skate Away, So Far Away. What was the other one you mentioned?
Walk of Life.
Walk of Life. Yeah, all those ones that were on MTV all the time. Skate Away is the first one I think of, because I think that was one of their first songs that was on MTV in the very beginning, and it was so unlike anything else that was on MTV at the time. So anyway, I totally lost my train of thought.
You're just talking the Dire Straits catalog versus the Mark Knopfler solo.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I ran out of steam there. It's okay. You go ahead.
Yeah. If you're, this doesn't, I don't know how this even fits into my taste, because I listened to stuff like Lions and Six Blade Knife and all this, all the older Dire Straits stuff, and it used to it was nearly atmospheric in that there was no the guitar kind of took the rhythms and the but he played it in, like I say, he kind of reminds me of Stuart Copeland from the Police, where he taught himself to play a different style than what I'm used to. Versus then the finger picking style, which is, it makes much more sense to play like he plays, because for the music he plays, because it, like I say, his voice and his guitar blend as one to me. They did back then, and I didn't know that's what he was doing, but that's how it was presented to me.
Yeah.
And
he never uses a pick though, does he? Does he?
No, he doesn't. No, he's all finger picking.
All that stuff, all the stuff he does, that's all his fingers. Yeah.
But but he shows you. You can see on videos that he's done. He shows you how he does it. And he goes, "Oh, it's just like this." And he goes, "Shut up, Mark. That's not you. You have to train your fingers to do." And I think he even said this. But let's just pretend I just said it. He said, I think you have to train your fingers to do things that do things that they don't want to do, which is absolutely true. And especially how he plays, because he's keeping the rhythm with his thumb. So he's playing the bass strings on the guitar with his thumb, and then he's picking with his forefinger and middle finger. So you're able to percussively keep time while playing a melody, and then he's singing on top of it. So you're essentially doing 3 different parts, maybe 4 if you're. I mean, even now, I'm starting to dislike him.
There was a story I mentioned. I went and watched this video after I got home that night. I mentioned that the interview with Shelly Yakus, the sound engineer who used to work with Dire Straits. Shelly Yakus is I'm sure he's producing now, but back in the 70s and 80s, he was an engineer, sound engineer. And his career started way back. He was he was working with John Lennon on the Imagine album and moving forward from there. Just almost one of those guys. Tom Petty, he's worked with so many big artists. But he has this great story. It's an interview with Shelly that done by Warren Huart, who is an English producer who has a really good YouTube channel. A lot of really great interviews. He has a lot of interviews with Shelly on that channel, include also Jack Douglas and a bunch of other great producers. Anyway, Warren specifically asked Shelly about Romeo and Juliet because he was enamored with the way the dobro sounds on that particular track. Is that on the Brothers in Arms?
Yes.
Yeah. So Shelly tells this great story of how they got that guitar tone for the dobro on that track, and that they were trying to figure out a way to get that sound. And they tried putting it through different amps. They tried different Marshalls, whatever. And it just wasn't working. Didn't sound good. Didn't sound like Mark going through these particular amps. So they wound up using a special preamp, putting the dobro directly into this preamp thing. And that turned out to be the thing, but he had to dial it in at a specific volume, whatever it was. And so they're going through Romeo and Juliet, and it's clear at this, they're about halfway through the song, and it's clear that this is the take, it's going so well. And it reaches that point in the middle of the song where the song quiets down and it goes back to the.
That's just like it.
So it's funny watching the interview that both Warren and Shelly, I think, attempt to vocalize. They're like, sorry, never mind. You know what I'm talking about. Because even Warren, who is a musician, can't even approximate it, because he just wants to hear Shelly tell the story. But they get to that point in the song, and unlike all the takes before this, Mark gets to that point, and he's playing really softly. And Shelly, who's recording, is behind the soundboard in the sound room. His heart sinks, and he looks over at the meter, and it's like below 20 for whatever it is. It's like really, really low. Like it's
very soft. There's nothing coming through.
And he says, and he looks at the camera. He's like, I don't know if you work in sound, you know that's bad news. It's because this is in the days that they're going to tape.
Yes.
So it was going to be Hiss City. So they're
say that again. It's going to be Hiss
City,
not Hiss City, which is Jewish. Yeah. No. So they listened to the take, and he knew he couldn't stop. Normally, that most sound, not most, but sound engineers, when they see that, your first instinct is to panic and say, "Stop! We got to, this is not. I got to adjust the levels and fix the gain on this. This is not going to be work." But he knew he couldn't stop it, because he said it. Literally said everybody's hairs were standing on end at this point, because the take was just going so well. Magic. I can't stop this. You don't.
Yeah, and all these things are going through his head. Is like, crap, I can't. He's not going to be able to overdub this. It's just not going to work. Because the part's just too delicate. I don't know what I'm going to do. So everybody comes back after the take's over. Everybody comes back into the room to listen back to the take, and he has to turn up the guitar at that point. And he says they got to that point in the song, and it's just like a snowstorm. So he didn't talk about how they wound up fixing it or what the reaction was of the band, but he says that he knew this. I just had to fix it in mixing, and he said, yeah, eventually I figured it out, and it sounds fine. But so it's interesting to go back and listen to that point in the song and think about all the work that went into making it sound that good,
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll put a link to that interview in the description.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because, and even in your description of that interview, you get the sense of when that magic happens, when you hit you can't stop it, and the orchestral way that he plays that part, again, his voice and the guitar are one. This is how I always heard it. This is why I was just, every note is needed. Every note is placed correctly, and every word that he writes and that he sings on it or talks on it, just placed beautifully. And I saw the reaction again. I saw the reaction of the people in the audience when that song came on, and when it breaks down right before the end, and it's just him and the guitar, and then it builds back up. And then as they're ending it, and he goes and changes guitars, and he brings out when he plays the solo over it, and you just, how do you how does that show itself? How does that, how is that born, and how is that grown, and how is that, it just, obviously,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And again, I was thinking about that earlier when we were talking about all the different guitars he used, and because he makes that joke. It might have even been after that song. He was joking about, what a big deal it was to get his first guitar, and for a long time that was the only guitar he had. And he said now they're everywhere. And he literally, like you said, he literally changed guitars in the middle of that song. Yeah, he was almost. I mean, he was. I think switching pretty much after every song. He changed guitars. Yep. But yeah, literally right in the middle of that song, he switched. And everyone, it's like just like he's saying, he doesn't waste notes. Like every note is essential. Every note is
orchestrated.
Yeah, placed. But when even the guitars, like it's like, oh yeah, I see why he had the switch guitars for this, because the tone is important as you're saying as the notes.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, like, even though I wasn't, I couldn't have cared less really going into the show whether or not he did Money for Nothing, because that's their big hit, but it's not, I don't think it's their best song. But when they had that crazy crescendo that leads up, it builds up and goes, and then it just stops, and then there's that iconic tone that he's got on that, where I think, what is it? Is it mostly like mid range or something? How do you get that tone? That sort of there's a name for that
overdriven tone.
Yeah.
It's the combination of that Gibson Les Paul and his finger picking.
Yeah,
and
well, the EQ is there's a really specific EQ setting for that particular tone he uses on that. But this is, again, I don't play like that ever. I wish, but he's got the pickup setting in the middle. Yeah.
So he's able to.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got that really fat, dirty.
Yeah. But that's the moment you're waiting for. That's like, oh, I know what's coming. Here it comes. Here it comes. And you see him walking out in the shadows. This little silhouette of him coming out. So here he comes. And it's kind of hard to predict where the crescendo is going to stop.
Yes.
And so all of a sudden, bam, there it is. The lights come on and he starts playing that riff, and it was just perfect.
Yeah.
It was just perfect.
Yeah.
And I know that's what most of the people there were there to see.
Yeah.
With that moment, not just the song, but that moment in the song with that guitar tone and that riff.
Yeah. And the intro as well, with the drummer and the percussion player.
Yeah.
Doing the drummer starts it, the percussion player comes in, and they riff on different rhythms.
They were amazing together.
So there was, obviously not the first time they'd played together.
I forget the percussionist's name, but the drummer was Yanto Thomas, who apparently goes by Ian, because it's the Welsh name Yanto.
The only gay in the village.
Yeah, Yanto is like the Welsh version of John, apparently, but it's spelled Ianto, and that's how Mark introduced him as Yanto. But I looked him up later, and he's known as Ian. But anyway, they were both amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Insanity.
Yeah,
insanity. Because the intro into, again, watching a video of Dire Straits opening that song is biblical.
Yeah,
it's just, so I was kind of, but this was a different. This is obviously a completely different band. But the power and the execution and the timing and then just to stop everything, and yet the air sucked out of the room for that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good way to put it. That's exactly what it felt like.
So
like a vacuum.
Yeah.
And that percussionist too. He sang. On Sailing to Philadelphia, which is a track off of. What's the name of that record? That's the one before Shangri-La that you already had.
Yeah, I think that's the title track.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Is it okay?
On
the record, James Taylor sings. It's a duet between Mark and James Taylor.
And I'm not a James Taylor fan.
Neither am I. Yeah.
I was talking very weak. Great songwriter.
Yeah,
incredible.
I have nothing
musician.
against him, but I've never.
But it's just very, very weak.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
So I think we're in the same opinion about him. But anyway, so I wasn't even thinking about when he started singing. I was like, I wasn't even thinking, geez, who's gonna sing James Taylor's part? But it turned out to be the percussionist singing, and it was one of the moments I'm like just appreciating what a stellar lineup he had, because it wasn't just one of those people who was singing just because he could kind of carry a note. Guy could sing. He was a really good singer.
And added a whole new.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to split this fucking thing up into two. But it was he did a whole new. Well, of course we hadn't seen, but completely different from the record.
Yeah,
and it changed the song from Sailing to Philadelphia to this is a whole new piece. It was so well done. I don't like singers that add too many notes to a note because they can. Just because they can,
yeah.
So if the note is da 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 da, you don't go da 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 da, and you're all over the map, so you can show your vocal. If the song calls for that, have at it. This song didn't call for that until I saw it live.
Yeah,
and he changed it with his.
And it made so much sense because everybody up there could sing.
Yes,
you could tell because there were a lot of multi-layered harmony parts and stuff, and it was just it all sounded just studio quality, perfect. You know, I would have loved to have been on stage to hear what their stage monitor sounded like, because it must have been just perfect, because they were just so relaxed and just doing their thing, and but that's why he threw that vocal to him, because that he probably had the best singing voice, maybe. I don't know. All the 10 guys behind him. Definitely for that. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that they've played together before. But
right.
No, I mean, just they because I don't know. And again, how long's a piece of string? Who is to say who's the best singer on that, or that to me, that song. Oh, here's another thing that pissed me off. Did it piss me off? No, I'm pissed off now. But of all Mark Knopfler's solo records or his Dire Straits, you could have played the first song off every CD.
Yeah,
he
did. The opener was Why Man off of Ragpicker, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, because I said to you during the I think we were exiting the building. And I said, I would hate to have to write the set list for this show because they left off Brothers in Arms. They left off Sultans of Swing, but I don't miss them now.
Yeah.
Would I would like to see? Yes, I'd still like to be there right now and just be continued music and hits and non-hits but he could have played the first track off every record. Yeah.
And that would just be it.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Yeah.
And the songs that they picked were just perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I know he's going to sleep better tonight knowing that I'm okay with that.
I was so happy to hear it. I wasn't expecting it, but it was one of the high points of the show was when he did Letters from Paraguay.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
That's Get Lucky, right? Is that... I'm really bad at knowing which albums.
I don't
even the albums I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the age we live in, unfortunately, because I listen to everything on my freaking phone, so I don't have the album in front of me anymore. It's like that.
Well, I have the records, and I don't look at the sleeve. I mean, they're just in, they're in cases. They're in multi CD cases, and
right. But that's an example. It's like that. I wouldn't have expected them to play that song, but they did, and they did it. It was amazing with the horns and everything.
Yeah, but then now, and because you said that, I say this: where in the course of the night would you have put Sultans of Swing? That wouldn't piss on the next songs, or wouldn't climax or anti?
Because it is, yeah. It's such a muscular song.
Yes.
As far as how recognizable it is.
Yeah.
That it might have.
I mean, it might have.
Like part of the Red Sea sort of a little bit too much.
Yeah. And of course you're a lot more delicate with your words than I am. I'll piss on it. You part of the Red Sea. Okay. Which I appreciate. I really. But yeah, I don't want to have to write that set list. That's why I don't write good songs. No, I'm kidding.
Sure.
But I know from, we've talked about this before. I don't like to do the same set. We've never played the same set.
Mm-mm.
We've played 7 nights in one place, and we've never repeated the set list.
Mm-mm.
Always try to mix it up, but you don't want to open up with a dirge. You don't want to open up. You don't want to, but
David
at the same
Allen Coe
time,
style.
yeah, exactly. You don't want to torture them with slow or smash it. You don't want to. It's got to be a balance, because you don't want to. You come in too heavy, too big. Then you gotta keep that. It's just really. It's such an art form to put a good. We still haven't ever. We still haven't got close to as perfect as it's going to get to.
Well, yeah, it was, yeah.
But it's constant work. But that was a set list that was designed for maximum, performance.
But it wasn't just the musicianship too. We mentioned the lights briefly earlier. The lights were freaking amazing, and there were specific lighting cues for each song, and it wasn't obvious stuff like we mentioned the sax player coming out to start the song that I didn't recognize.
Yeah, Your Latest Trick.
Yeah, the title I already forgotten. There were moments like that where spotlight on, he walked to a particular point on the stage, which was obviously blocked for a specific place that you're supposed to go, and there was then the next thing was the spotlight came up on Mark again. He was supposed to be in a specific. All that stuff is choreographed in a sense. But there's also there's particular parts in the song which were getting different. Each song had its own mood, and the lighting too was just so tasteful, and just it wasn't. There were some parts where it was kind of flashy and crazy things going on, but it wasn't like over the top.
Nothing detracted from the stage.
It added and it bolstered it, and it was like I mentioned this too. Like the colors they chose were really very simple primary colors. It was like white, red, and blue, but it wasn't presented in a way that made you think, the flag. It wasn't like patriotic, but it was just really, really, like there was one, I can't remember what song it was, but there was this song where the lights behind it were just pointed straight down, and there was like this curtain of red behind them, created by the lights. It was just fantastic. But yeah, so the set list, obviously it wasn't just about the order of the songs and the songs they picked, and everything was, obviously the sound people and the lighting people, everybody knew exactly what was going to happen at what time, So I was thinking, we were talking about this on the way out. I was like, they must have several different set lists they switch between with that amount of material. Like I could imagine having, but not that I don't think I would complain playing those songs every night because the songs are so amazing. But it's like, but I don't know, because I admit, in Andrew Dansby's review, he talks about the last song they played was the instrumental "Going Home," right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the song is "Going Home." Yeah.
What was the name of the movie it's from?
Cal or Local Hero?
Local Hero.
Yeah,
and Andrew Dansby mentioned this. He said he liked to think that maybe they picked that song because parts of that movie were filmed in Houston. I don't know if it was Local Hero, but it was one of the other ones. Whatever the movie is from, he said that the movie is bookended with scenes shot in Houston, which I didn't know.
Me neither.
But he looked at somebody that has been the closer, like at every date on the tour so far, apparently. So I'm curious to look at the set list from the other dates to see how much variance, if any, there is in the set list. Because I could imagine as articulate or as clearly you can't just throw another song in there just because the lights and everything were just so specific. So specifically timed that if there were variances, that all that's got to be planned too, and there must be a different program or a different sequence for every different show. So there's a lot of that when you've got a show like that, you can't be quite as fun. I guess you can, and you'd have to. The sound people and the lighting people just have to follow you.
Yeah,
but a show like that, it's. I I can't imagine us ever getting to the point where we, you know what I mean? How would you feel about having a show where we just play the exact same set every single night? The same lighting cues and
well, I couldn't.
I just can't imagine that.
I mean, I couldn't. At his point, where Mark Knopfler was, where I am now, I bet he couldn't see this.
Yeah,
like he joked about retiring,
right?
And after he sat through the booze of that,
yeah,
he said no. He said I'm just going to keep doing it. He said what better way to I mean, look at what we do.
Yeah.
He said, so I'm just going to keep coming out and, until I fall over.
Yeah.
And he said, it won't be tonight. And he was right. It wasn't. And, but again, like I said, the early stuff was very, very atmospheric. And of course he's very, he's so melodic and so much goes into the writing of the song, then the execution, and obviously by the way we're gushing over this concert, so much, so much thought given to, the presentation and the all the stuff that goes into it. I couldn't imagine, because the stuff that we do and the energy that we perform it, I just couldn't see, there's now we have been doing a much better job of writing set lists and sticking to it versus the old days. Screw that, scrap that. So we're in that regard, we're staying true. But the way that we put a show together is he's playing for 2 hours. We're playing for 4.
Yeah.
We got to keep attention for 4. And you don't know every song that we're doing. We know every song that he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'd say 60% of the people that were at that show knew every song.
Yeah.
The rest of them knew.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet.
Most of them, yeah, obviously.
So yeah, I couldn't see a show where it's, I could see a choreographed light thing, and I could,
I could see down the line if we are playing big, venues. When we're playing venues that are more of a venue than a pub, but not only that, but the fact if we have a set list where it's like at least half of it is our original material, and we know that we're going to be playing those songs, then I could see if we have the crew behind us to actually bolster those songs with specific lighting cues and stuff, that we'd probably be happy enough. So,
yeah. Well, going back,
we still want to have those wild cards thrown in.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And again, one of my favorite things to do is to play something that you haven't heard. Parts of, even write something on the stage at the moment, spur of the moment.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do. But the other thing is also remember back to the Pirate Festival where, we were playing at Warehouse Live, and the sound guy, the monitors, the front of house sound guy, they were as important as we were, because they took our set seriously. Not that they didn't to anybody else, but we came on, we're a 4-piece. Every other band that day was minimum 6, 7 piece,
Yeah.
Everybody there's large numbers of people on the stage, but we're a 4-piece, and we're boisterous, laugh fast, so they got to work quickly as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never heard us.
Right.
The sound guy had heard of us, never mixed us before, but did an incredible job from the footage we've seen. Again, so we're not bringing the sound, we are bringing the show, and we're, our job is to portray a true representation of what we've been doing for last ton of years. So, it's an uphill battle, coming in, even with a crew that was as professional as that,
mm-hmm.
And even a smaller scale, Continental Club, when we go in there and you have this, these people are running sound sometimes 7 days a week. So their work, they have to work fast. They have to work, you can't take 2 songs off to to mix it and balance it and get it right. You know, you gotta be right.
Yeah.
You gotta be on first go. So, you know, that's why these people travel with the sound crew. That's why they travel with the light crew, and they, you know, you know, it really is. It's such, I just cannot stress enough. Everybody has got to go see live music.
Yeah.
You've just got to go see live music. I felt like I'd been robbed because we play so much, so we don't get to go see these bands that we want to see. And I know, because I see them coming through town, and I know it's the same nights and the same hours and the same, you know, that we're playing. And, you know, I just...
Yeah. It really makes me want to go out more just to see our local guys more often too. Yeah. Because I sometimes forget about how important that is to just sit and watch somebody else play and take that home with you, you know, like, you know, like, oh yeah, and I've never thought about, you know, it really is useful. It's like kind of being on the other side of the camera, essentially. Like if you're used to, you know, it's like like an actor in a movie, like getting on the other side of the camera to see what the director is saying and sort of thing. Yeah.
And on that note, we are going to be playing with Little Outfit at Dan Electro's coming up, and our friend Randy, who we had on here a few weeks back, we're going to be playing with them, and we're thrilled because we haven't seen them since they were Little Outfit. Now they're, you know, full band, and they're
slightly bigger outfit.
Yeah. So they're,
you know, so I guess we should probably button this up on that note. So this weekend we are back at Moe's Vintage Park on Friday.
Halfway to Paddy's
Day. And then we're at Moe's Katy, their sister pub in Katy, on Saturday.
Sunday,
and
Woody's.
Sunday we're at Woody's Beach Bar and back in Galveston again, which should be nice. It's always nice out there. So that's this weekend. And then next week, on Thursday, we're back in Katy again, and this time, for the first time, we're playing at Little Woodrow's in Katy for Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Talk like a pirate.
So I encourage you to not just talk like a pirate, but dress like a pirate, and drink like a pirate, but drive responsibly like a pirate too. You know what I mean? And then finally, next Friday, September 20th, we're finally back at O'Bannon's Tap House in College Station. After we were there playing at our friend Shane's birthday party a couple months ago, but that was a private party. So this is the first time we're going to be back with the Aggies again, since I guess it was May was the last time we were there.
Yes.
It's been too long. Usually we do our birthday show at O'Bannon's, but we couldn't get that together this summer. We were too busy with other stuff, I guess. I can't remember what we were doing that particular weekend.
Playing a show.
Most likely playing a show, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, O'Bannon's, and then we got Moe's Cypress coming up after that next weekend, and then that weekend too. That's when we'll be playing at Dan Electro's with Little Outfit.
And incidentally, just for our people that know Dan Electro's and that haven't seen us in a while, they've it's full bar.
Yes,
it used to only be beer and wine,
right? And
they've redone the sound, and it's. You owe it to yourself, A, to come and see Little Outfit, but B, to come check out the new improved Dan Electro's. It's, you know,
it really is a special venue. It's one of the last sort of classic Houston venues that's still around.
Yeah.
Now that we lost Fitzgerald's. So anyway, that is September 22nd on a Sunday.
Yes, a Sunday, and it's early show. So they're going to play for about 45, and then we're going to close it out. So we'll get you home in time for little hanky panky, and then up in time for work. But we're gonna, it's a lot of stuff coming up, and a lot of lot of new stuff going to be hitting the set list here pretty soon. So stay in touch with that, and thank you for listening, and thanks for letting us drivel on about Sir Knopfler.
Yeah. And if you want to hear, speaking of the original stuff, if you want to hear some of the stuff we're working on, tune in to Blaggards Live. And also join us on Patreon. We'll be able to hear even more of that stuff. Coming up here soon, it'll be on a weekly basis. I'm still working out the mixing of this stuff because I'm trying to make it sound as good as I can for you guys.
And also, just I want to say too, we're going to try this on the last we're gonna try to do a Facebook Live kind of podcast thing on our way to San Antonio.
Yeah,
at the end of the month. So I say that because we're gonna try and get all four of us on camera, and it's gonna be rough, but it'll be fun.
Yeah,
we're gonna try one of these things, maybe.
Oh, just to clarify too, when I say Blaggards Live, I'm talking about the Blaggards Live podcast. That is the second podcast that we have, not the live stream. It sounds like it's kind of sort of confusing. That you can watch the live streams too, but Blaggards Live is a separate podcast that we've started.
I like the live stream, the R. Kelly record. Stop it.
That was last week's title.
Oh, he's my hero. Anyway,
okay,
thank you for listening.
Yes, thanks for hanging with us. This was a particularly long one. But that's whenever we. It's nice. It's nice being this excited about something that we don't even have to struggle. It's a struggle to stop talking about it, actually. So, anyway, all right. Thanks, y'all.
Good night.
We'll see you next week.